Good to go? Alrighty. So thanks to all, 13 of you who are bored enough to join me tonight. We're gonna have ourselves a fun discussion about Hazbin Hotel, Helluva Boss. Just so you know, this is a fan panel. I don't have any secret ties to the actual production. I can't tell you when episode 1 is coming or when episode 2 is coming. I have no secret information, no voice actors, no voice requests. This is just to talk about the show, why we like the show. If you have anything you want to add, feel free to drop some things in the comments, and I'll try to read them as we're going along. There is a warning I want to give you ahead of time. Helluva Boss, Hazbin Hotel are both full of the naughty, cursy words and adult content. So if your small imps are still awake, you should probably put them in bed. That would be a good idea. All right. So, yeah, let's go. So, what is Hazbin Hotel then? Well, to sum it up, if you die and go to hell, you go to furry hell. No, I'm just lovingly joking about that. If you are really only familiar with anime and you haven't really ventured into some of the YouTube comics and such, one of the better ways I can think of to tie it into anime is that it feels like it's a spiritual successor to Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. So if you really liked Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, this really feels like it's in the same vein, and there's some similarities between the worlds. They both deal with characters who are trying to get into heaven, and they both have main characters who power up by pole dancing. So if you are here because you're a big Has-Been Helluva fan and you haven't heard of Panty and Stocking, then I would recommend going over watching that. I believe it's available on Funimation. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And if you're here because you're an anime fan, you're like, what are these things that aren't anime? Then you can check them out. They're available on YouTube. Um, so, and I'll say a little bit more about their availability a little bit later on. All right. So, what is Hazbin Hotel? Hazbin Hotel is currently a pilot, 2 comics, and a music video. So that's all we have as far as the actual canon of the show goes. The pilot is available on YouTube. The comics are available on their website, and Addict is also available on YouTube. And the reason I bring that up is because there is a bit of a problem with there's a lot of people making fake content because it has been a while since the pilot came out. The pilot was picked up by a distributor. They're working on the first season, but a lot of people have rushed to make some fake content that they're trying to pass off as the first episode, second episode. There isn't a first episode, there isn't a second episode. It's just the pilot and the 2 comics and the Addict music video. What is the show about then? Well, as I said, it's basically Welcome to Furry Hell. Although I do, like I said, say that very lovingly. Not all the characters are animals. You also have a demon who is a lazy boy and a demon who is a gun. So it's got some really unique character design. I'm not going to show any clips because of some copyright issues that could potentially happen with doing clips. But like I said, they're available on YouTube freely. You can go check them out. Essentially, it's been summed up as a Disney princess in hell. So basically the pilot has 2 sort of plots that are going on simultaneously. They both center around the fact that these are all characters who are in hell, and hell's not actually that bad of a place if you've got a lot of money. If you've got the money and the power, it's a pretty cool place to, well, not cool place, but if you have the money and the power, it's a lot better than if you don't have those, if you're on the bottom of the stratosphere. So basically, once a year, they have an extermination because hell is overpopulated. So hell is overpopulated. Once a year, a whole bunch of angels descend on the population from heaven, and they kill off as many demons who are human sinners who have been sent to hell as they can. So once a year, mass slaughter to cut down hell's overgrown population. And the first sort of plot that goes off is Charlie, the princess of hell, the Disney princess in hell, wants to get people out of hell so that they will no longer be mass slaughtered by the angels. And her idea to do this is to create a hotel where she can rehabilitate sinners and make them good people, and theoretically they can then go on to heaven. The other plot that's going on at the same time is that essentially all these demons have just died, which means that there's all this free real estate. So you've got a bunch of other demons at the same time who are fighting over the property that is now opened up because of the mass slaughter. That is the short summary of it in a nutshell. So as I mentioned, it's been picked up by a distributor, and this is something that a lot of people have talked about. Where is Hazbin Hotel? As I said, I'm just a fan. I don't have any secret internal knowledge, but the basic answer of when is Hazbin Hotel coming out is when it's ready. And there is a non-disclosure agreement in place. I think a lot of fans don't really understand the nature of the. I'm not trying to be insulting. No, I'm just saying I think there's a lot of fans who don't understand that the nature of the non-disclosure agreement is that they really can't tell us a lot of stuff. And a lot of what got us into, a lot of us got into Hazbin Hotel because the creators were very open, were very willing to answer questions, were willing to talk. And the NDA has kind of altered that a bit. I don't think they're not trying to be mean. They still love the fandom. They still love all of us. But the problem is that they now have a legal agreement that says they can't be that open. They can't spill the beans, or else their distributor will get angry. And if we want the show to go mass, have lots and lots of people have a chance to watch it, then we want the distributor to stay happy with them. So we don't. So that's a good thing. It's a good and a bad thing. So NDAs get messy pretty quick. That's exactly correct. So I guess just to say quick, my personal favorite character, and these are just screenshot redraws. Take a guess. It's the Snake Boy, Pentious. Serpentius is my favorite character because I am an anime fan who is over the age of 30. And when I go to cons, I feel exactly like Serpentius. Because I'm like, hey guys, I just watched all of Attack on Titan. Aren't I cool? And they're like, Attack on Titan is like 2 seasons ago. We like Demon Slayer now. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not one of the cool kids. I go to the dealer's room and I'm not going to recognize anything. Yeah, as Caroline says, nothing personal towards the fans. And I think there does seem to be some frustration on Twitter with people saying, where is it? Why are they making Helluva Boss? Why aren't they making Hazbin? They are making Hazbin, but it's not going to come out until the entire season's done. Animation is slow. There's an NDA in place. It's not that they want to be mean to the fans, it's just that's how it has to be. And like I said, if we want as many people to see this as possible, if we want to see this go mainstream, if we want to be able to buy stuff from, I don't know, I guess probably Hot Topic that would have the stuff on it, and we want it to get distributed, we want the distributor to be happy, it's going to come when it comes. Yeah. It's only been 6.5 months since the A24, that's the distributor announcement was made. I couldn't remember if it was 24 or 23, so thanks. I have a bit of a brain fart there. And anyone who wants to chat, Hazbin Hotel in Walmart, exactly. Actually, I kind of find it ironic that I'm talking about a show that's set in hell on the day before Easter, but maybe that's just me thinking that's funny. Yeah, I know. I just finished our High School Host Club. Let me get with the cool kids. He even has a scene where he's like, how do you do, fellow cool kids? With the 30 Rock reference. So he's my fave character because I'm reaching that age where I'm also like, cool still, right? I used to be hip and with it. And then they changed what it was. So in the meantime, while we haven't been getting a lot of Hazbin, if anybody has any Hazbin topics that they specifically want to talk about, just be like, hey, yo, Here's a topic. Oh yeah, Funko Pops. I'm not really into the Funko Pops, but that would be hilarious to see. The other side of it is Helluva Boss. Now, Helluva Boss is currently releasing. They're currently at about one episode every month, maybe one episode every 6 weeks. Helluva Boss is being done entirely independently. Independent funding, doesn't have a distributor behind it, so they can be a lot more open with that, release it as the episodes get finished. So then I give you kind of an update of what Hazbin Hotel is. Helluva Boss it's set in the same universe as Hazbin Hotel. They're kind of sister shows. I've seen a lot of people call Helluva Boss the Hazbin Hotel spinoff. That's not exactly true. They're more like sibling shows because they're set in the same universe, but one doesn't directly follow the other. The characters don't really interact other than being seen in the background. Like Serpentius, my favorite character, he shows up in drawings in Blitz's office. I forgot that the O is silent. Good job, me. uh, so it basically, Helluva Boss is your standard office sitcom, like The Office. Any standard office sitcom in terms of the characters. What makes it really unique is the fact that instead of just working for a nameless, faceless corporation, our characters are assassins. They're supernatural assassins. So basically, if you die and you go to hell and you had a grudge on Earth that wasn't fulfilled, you can go to them and you can hire them to kill the person you have a grudge against. And this could be, say, the person who cheated with your husband, or it could be your old partner because you don't want him to get all the money from your company and you're dead and he's not. So basically, yeah, it's the reason that Helluva Boss works so well for me is that they take all these really well established character types. You've got the lovable jerk boss. You've got the straight man who's constantly being dumped on. The always happy, super enthusiastic, bubbly one. And then the secretary literally from hell. But again, the whole point is that they're not just, thanks cats, sitting in an office. They're being hired to go to Earth and off people. So the first episode deals with a woman who she says her entire life was virtuous up until the point where she accidentally found out that her husband was cheating on her. And then she killed her husband and attempted to kill the woman he was cheating with. Failed to kill the woman he was cheating with. Hires the characters to go kill the woman. Turns out the woman and her family are crazy and start shooting back at the devils and make an attempt to re-sacrifice the devils to Satan, which does not work out particularly well. And there are a lot of explosions and disasters. Now, the second episode is actually where Helluva Boss really comes into its own because it starts getting into some of the more mature content. It's got the song from Stolas. So Stolas is a bit of a complicated character for me. I want to hate him because he cheats on his wife, but at the same time, he's such a good dad. And it seems like at the same time, they kind of went towards that he and his wife may have married for status and may not actually be in love with each other as much as he actually loves his daughter. But that's still not an excuse for cheating on her. You should get divorced and then see other people. But it's got a really beautiful song in it where he sings to his daughter to reassure her after she's had a nightmare. It's "You will be okay." And it's a beautiful song because it's like he's singing all to his daughter about how she's going to be okay. Everything's going to be great. Then the real background content sets up this future scenario where the rings of hell are going to collapse, creation's going to die, heaven's going to fall to earth, and the whole cosmos is being destroyed by him behind him while he's singing this lovely, lovely song to reassure his daughter and put her to bed. And then the episode goes on to when she's older, he's growing apart from her, especially because he's feuding with his wife over the cheating. He tries to take his daughter to a theme park that they loved when she was a kid, except now she's a very emo teenager. And you can imagine how well taking an emo teenager to a park meant for very small children works out. And it's a beautiful episode. There's another musical number in there. The Broadway voice of Beetlejuice is in there as a killer clown. So then episode 3, we get to meet one of Blitz's exes. I keep calling him Blitzo, but that's not correct. It's Blitz. The O is silent. They meet one of his exes. She tries to steal his parking spot, so he challenges her to a fight in the mortal world, where since she's a succubus, she has to get with more men than he can murder in the same day. So she tries to throw a concert where she sings a song that makes everybody want to get down that's in the audience, except she throws her flask into the ocean and it turns into it mutates fish into a giant fish monster, which starts eating a whole bunch of people. And they end up winning the bet by virtue of the fact that, yeah, the entrance to the ride is Lucifer's mouth, which is creepy in and of itself. That's just a wonderful, creepy, beautiful visual that they have there. So he ends up winning because they succubi don't want anyone to know that they created this fish monster that killed and ate a whole bunch of people. So they also find out in this episode is that the imps should have been wearing disguises to make them look human while they were on Earth, and they haven't been, which will play into the fact that they start wearing disguises that are really terrible in the next episode. So they end up winning, indeed, by blackmail. And then the 4th episode, the one that just came out, is just had a brain blank. It's the one that plays it plays homage to a lot of classic cartoons, like especially the Looney Tunes opera episodes. Tim Curry's Lucifer. That'd be fabulous. So basically, a guy goes to hell and he hires them to kill his old partner because he doesn't want his old partner to have the money that they made while they were both alive. And so the imps go and they're going to kill the old guy. But the problem is the imps have a counterpart called the cherubs. And the cherubs, their point is to give blessings to people. So the cherubs want the old guy to stay alive. The imps want the old guy to die. So the whole episode basically is the cherubs trying to show him beautiful things about life, like nature. And then we get this wonderful, just absolute slapstick comedy scene where a whole bunch of forest animals just brutally slaughter each other for no apparent reason. We also get the wonderful physics of a piano being launched into air and Millie and Moxie having their makeout session while flying through the air over the opera stage. In the end, the cherubs are actually the ones who accidentally kill the guy by dropping a piano on him. They didn't mean to. They were trying to shoot at the imps, and a shot missed. And there's a lot of physics involved, a lot of cartoon physics involved, to be specific. Guy gets crushed by a piano. So the cherubs then, they try to return to heaven, and they find out that because they caused the death of a human, even accidentally, they're no longer allowed into heaven. And when they ask, isn't there anything we can do? Their super overly nice, sweet supervisor says no. Now the question that's brought up for a lot of fans is, does he not know the truth? Is it no as far as he knows? Is he lying because he doesn't like them? Or is it possible that this is relevant for Hazbin Hotel in that redemption, which obviously is what Charlie's going for, is not actually possible? So there's been a lot of talk about theories as to what them getting kicked out of heaven means for Hazbin Hotel. Now, I personally feel like Hazbin Hotel is going to end up breaking the universe and changing the entire system of heaven and hell, as opposed to actually getting the sinners into heaven. But that's just kind of my reading on it. I feel like it's going to pull a Monica Magica, and they're going to have to recreate the entire universe to be a better world, as opposed to just getting individual characters up into heaven. So that's cool that we get those lore dumps from Helluva Boss that are relevant then to potentially Hazbin Hotel. So, speaking of theories, a certain YouTuber, I won't mention the name, but a certain really popular YouTuber just released a theory video on Hazbin Hotel that was kind of controversial in the fandom. And the reason it was so controversial is because, well, he has quite a large writing team, but they didn't really do any research. And I'm not faulting them for not watching every interview Vivzi's ever given, because there's a lot of them. You can't know all of that. But they didn't look up basic things like what IMP stands for. Live action adaptation, that will be amazing. They will just get some Party City animal costumes and animal kigurumis and go for it. Yeah, I don't have too much to say with it without the audience participation, so I was hoping the audience might have some things that they want me to go over to address, like specific characters that you like. I guess one of the things that really draws me into it too is that the fandom is, well, the fandom is the fandom. So you've got the highs and you've got the lows. You've got the things that are present in every fandom, the ship wars, the toxic shippers, uh, all of that. But I've found that, well, I tend to hang out only with like the Serpentius fans, so I'm not over with the people who are battling. But I find that the fandom is really nice. They're really wonderful. The fandom's really big on fan dubs. So people who draw comics and then people who voice act them. I'm really fond of Slice of Hell's fan dubs. I'll give them a shout out. I like um, Axel Gear's Arachnus series is wonderful. Yeah, ship wars are stupid. Give them up. Um, Vivzi is one of the creators of the show, the main creator, and she said, she has specific ideas for who's canon ship wise, but if you're having fun and you're not hurting other people, then do what you want, which I think is really nice. But unfortunately, it caused a lot of people to get angry in and of that self because they thought that she was telling them that they weren't being nice and all kinds of crazy. So, favorite song from either show. Um, favorite song from is definitely Helluva Boss. The song "You Will Be Okay," because like I said, it's a beautiful song. The voice actor sings beautifully. It's beautifully written, uh, wonderful little lullaby, and it gives us all of this background on the idea that I mean, like I said, the song itself says, "If the seven rings of hell collapse, if all of creation goes to die, when heaven falls, you'll hear the trumpets sound." So it gives a lot of hints that there's going to be some pretty significant lore, um, some pretty significant stuff going on in the Hazbin Hotel. That's why I said I think Hazbin's going to pull a Monica magic on us. Uh, um, I won't get into whether the fans are toxic, because again, I'm trying to keep it kind of happy. There was some stuff going on with there's been some stuff going on with certain people, but by and large, if you just stay away from the people who are trying to cause problems, I think the fandom has been really wonderful. I've met tons of really wonderful artists, tons of really wonderful people. So yeah, that's the answer to favorite song is I really love "You Will Be Okay." I think that is the strongest episode. Episode 2 is the strongest episode of Helluva Boss. So at the end of Monica, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, cover your ears, run away. Um, at the end of Monica, the main character ends up basically making a wish that rewrites the entire rules of the universe rather than be stuck in an inherently unfair system. So the plot of that show is there's a guy, little cute animal. He says he'll give you a wish and make you a magical girl. But it turns out that being a magical girl actually tears your soul out of your body and does all kinds of horrible things. And then eventually you become so depressed that you become a witch monster. And so this happens to every magical girl. Every magical girl goes from being, a Genki super energetic, yay, to getting so depressed that they turn into a witch monster and having to be killed by their friends. And rather than be caught in this cycle, Madoka decides that she's going to make a wish and rewrite the entire universe. And so I think rather than getting people into heaven and being stuck in the cycle of heaven abusing hell, heaven mass slaughtering the residents of hell, that they're going to rewrite the entire universe. That would be my personal bet for where it's heading. But that's just me, again, theorizing, having seen Madoka and kind of drawing some parallels there. It's possible that I'm entirely off. So yeah. Theory, demons can be redeemed and it will be angel dust. It's been telegraphed, starting with the info when he says getting the money after the extermination. Yeah, that's why the comment in Helluva Boss was so controversial. Because basically the deer says, no, you can't get back into heaven. Now that's a question of, does that only apply to like the cherubs? Is the deer telling the truth? Is he unintentionally lying? Does he not know? Or is it legitimately redemption is not possible? So that one little line where they say, after they've been banished from heaven, they say, isn't there anything we can do? And he goes, yeah, no. That one line has caused a lot of fandom theories. So were there any other thoughts? Anything else people want to talk about? There's my cats being noisy again. You'll have to excuse them. Yep, one line, just like in contracts, can screw things over. Yeah, there may not be a way for sheriff. That might be specifically to the cherubs. Specifically, how did I come across the show? It was getting pushed pretty heavily in other fandoms that I'm into. I saw a lot of ads for it, saw a lot of interest in it, saw a lot of controversy over it. There is unfortunately quite a bit of, it's a bit of a seat of quite a few controversies, mostly having to do with some of the content. So I suppose I could talk a little bit about some of why it's been controversial. Well, first of all, it's set in hell, and so the characters are bad people. A lot of people have a problem with the fact that Angel Dust is a very effeminate gay man who is a drug user. He's willing to shoot up and kill a whole bunch of cute little egg creatures. He does a whole bunch of bad things. He says some things at one point. He's asked if he's being sexist or racist, and he says whichever one will offend you more. But the idea is, this is the character that is going to be redeemed. This is the character who has to start out at a low point in order for them to build him to a better person. If he already started out person, then there would be, the whole show is a redemption arc. How do you have a redemption arc with a character that's already redeemed? And again, that she's not saying that applies to every person, that every gay person is like that. That's not the case, and especially because the canon main character is Charlie and her girlfriend Vaggie, and they are not portrayed in any sort of over the top flaming way. In fact, the only way you really get that they're girlfriends is that they make very subtle references to one another. The way Vaggie is protective over Charlie. Yes, her name is Vaggie. That's a thing. It happens. They're very sweet. They're very adorable together. Alastor is asexual. Penteus is believed to be bi, but that could change because it's not canon yet. So there's a lot of different sexualities. And a lot of people are angry because Angel Dust is a gay character who's not a good person. Yeah, Vagatha, short for Jordan to Vaggie. The other controversy that I've seen a lot of is, so Charlie the princess decides to announce her plan to redeem the sinners by going on Belle's news broadcast. And when she goes to meet the anchor, Katie Killjoy, holds out her hand for a shake. Again, this was made pre-COVID. But Katie responds with, "I don't touch the gays," which is pretty awful, but you're supposed to get that Katie's an awful character. You're not supposed to like Katie. She's a bad character. And then she goes on to proceed to poke Charlie in the boob several times after saying she wasn't going to touch her. Also, that is one of the few lines that then gives you a hint that Charlie isn't completely straight. Because it's very subtle. It can be very easy to miss that she's in a relationship with Vaggie if you don't have the hints. So those are the 2 points that I know have caused a lot of controversy. And just to sort of explain why they've caused that, there's a lot of good videos that go into it. There have also been some controversy because there have been some YouTubers who have made some pretty badly researched videos about it. Let's just call them badly researched. And the fandom hasn't responded to that particularly kindly. And some of the fandom does go over the top. So then, of course, you've got the people who are like, "This show is bad," and you've got the people who are like, "No, my favorite show, must attack," and that doesn't end up looking good for anyone. And if I can climb on a personal soapbox for a little bit here, I do kind of feel like some of the hate Hazbin gets is because it is written by its major character designer, major writer is a woman. Several women worked high up on it. It has it's definitely, what I've said is it makes my 2000 yaoi fangirl heart happy. And I can imagine myself back in 2000 going to the Midnight Yaoi panel and shouting out my like favorite male Hazbin character pairings at the panel. It's got that sort of feel to me. Uh, and it's definitely attracts that kind of fan. The girls who would have been, the yaoi glomp fangirls back in 2000, when I'm giving off my age again here, being an old fan, are definitely the people who get into Hazbin. And the internet, when it sees young women, old teenage girls, getting into something in a fandom that's very heavily anchored towards teenage girls, well, there's nothing that offends the internet quite like teenage girls liking something, especially teenage girls liking male-male relationships. So I feel like at least some of the vitriol that's been aimed at it has been unfair because it is driven by women and it is audience tends to be very woman heavy. And I've seen actual people complaining because they're like, "Well, there's all these attractive men, but there's no big booby women in it for me. It's not fair. Why are there all these skinny hot men and no big bibby women?" But then they're kind of forgetting that Jerry exists and that our dear Pentius has cake for days. A boy, he's got snatched waist and hips. So that's some of the behind the scenes stuff. Trying to work on a Pentius cosplay. I posted that. Trying to figure out how to make the hair actually animatronic. I've got an animatronic tail. Yeah, not everything needs to be fan service for the guys, and unfortunately I have seen quite a few people who are upset with Hazbin because it is fan service more for the, like I said, 2000 yaoi girl fan base. It's not really aimed at, the same kind of crowds who would want panty shots. But then sometimes people are like, but but you can't make a show that's for teenage girls and not for me. That's not fair. Not fair. So things I'm looking forward to in the show. Then, since someone mentioned female characters, I'm looking forward to when we get to see Lucifer and Lilith. That'll be, not that Lilith wears a revealing outfit. Just I happen to reading that not all female characters remind me that we haven't seen Lilith yet. I'm really excited to see Lilith. I'm excited to see Baxter when we finally get to him. I want to see more Pentius. He's beautiful. He's my. I've even got since we've got extra time. I've even got my mini potty pillow, my husbando. Look, if you guys can have waifus, I can have a snake husbando. That's my thing. Yeah, Pentanus Arachnus is my favorite pairing because the the like 5 foot tall spider guy in a relationship with the 15-foot tall snake. That's just like my giant nerd boyfriend is my favorite pairing. But I'm not like super anti other pairings. I'm okay with Pentheus, Cherry, all of that. And Cherry's voice actor has actually been at Detour in the past, has appeared at Detour's charity auctions, if I remember correctly. So hopefully, when Detour comes back around again, maybe if she comes back, we'll be able to actually have a has-been panel with some actual voice characters on it. That would voice actors on it, and that would be a lot more fun than just listening to me talk about my theories about the show. I am really bad with names. Crystal Lake Port or something like that. Like Port. I'm the worst person with names. Um, so I guess I could talk about the Addict music video a little bit too. So we've got the Has Been pilot, which is mostly, happy, fun times. It's got a little bit of dark edge to it, but it's kind of wacky and it's zany, and you got all these super expressive characters fighting it out, and demons, and Alistar doing his huge song and dance in neon. But Addict is a song for Angel and Cherry. Angel being one of the main characters. He's the white and pink spider, which is kind of interesting because every time I see Angel now, I also think of the spider, and so I'm a spider, so what, or whatever that show is called. So I'm a spider, so what, something like that. I forget the exact title because it's super long. Also contains a white and pink spider. So I'm always like, I really want to see a has-been crossover with that show. I just do. But that's by the by. That's just me being silly. So Addict basically shows us that Angel he acts like his life is so wonderful and perfect, and he enjoys being Hell's top porn star. And then you get to see that being Hell's top porn star is not exactly the wonderful thing that he keeps pretending it is, and some of the darker stuff that's happening around him, some of the darker stuff that happens around Cherry. We get the reprise at the end, where Addict, up until that point, is a happy, happy, bounce, bounce, let's go pole dancing and blowing things up. And then at the very end, he sings about how helpless he feels and his chances for redemption. And it just, Addict gives you a very beautiful little look into where they're going with Has-Been that I really appreciate. So it's definitely also got that 2000 house era boom, 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 going on. So I like it. Worth checking out if you are a fan. I guess I could talk about, I'm not sure if this one falls under SpindleHorse or not, or if it's just another Vivzy property. I could quickly mention there's also Zoophobia, which unfortunately has the close name to Zootopia. Zoophobia was the name of the comic that Vivzy used to do, and there actually is an animation for that comic out now. Bad Luck Jack. It's a nice, sweet comic. She has another one that I haven't seen that's like holidays, so I can't speak to holidays particularly. Yes, when Detour comes back, maybe I'll have to ask the DJs if they can play it at the rave. That would be fun. There's also one of the other fans, this reminds me now since we're talking about the songs, there's a lot of fans who are creating fan content like fan songs. Nate Wants to Battle is one of the ones that I really like. So if you're looking for more has-been content, go look up Nate Wants to Battle's songs. You can also look up Sam Haft. Addict is a great rave song. Sam Haft is, I think it's HAFT, and I may be saying that wrong. He's one of the writers for Helluva Boss. He's the writer of You Will Be Okay. He has the extended edition up. Yes, Do you think it has the potential to get a big place like Netflix or even late night TV? I think Netflix or Hulu is very possible. I think Netflix or Hulu is very possible. I don't think it'll get on TV because of the content. There's a lot of drug use, a lot of talk about sexual violence, a lot of swearing, a lot of stuff that's inherent to the show that wouldn't go very well on TV. And I know that they've had some trouble with YouTube with Helluva Boss because they have a mature warning on they have a mature content warning, but they've been having some trouble with it getting pulled because of the content is right on the edge of what YouTube actually allows. So I can see it getting on Netflix. I can see it being on Hulu, any of those streaming services. I don't think it would ever make it to broadcast TV without significant cuts. Yeah, there's also the issue of Lucifer being a character. The fact that it's set in hell, but hell is not actually portrayed as a super. I'm gonna take a drink, bad place. Like, nobody's actually literally burning in hell. They're all just going about living their lives as weird anthropomorphized creatures until they get slaughtered by a mass of angels in a purge once a year. That's another thing that the fandom has talked about quite a lot that isn't quite clear. What happens if you get killed in the purge? So it's been said that if demons get killed by another demon, for example, that they basically respawn. So they regen somewhere. You can survive being killed by another demon. You can't survive being killed by an angelic weapon. Now, what happens when you're killed by an angelic weapon? That's the question. And there is some suggestion that it turns into a I have no mouth, but I must scream trope scenario where your entire essence actually gets absorbed into the buildings around you. And that's why all the buildings in hell are covered in eyes that move and look around. Is that there's this idea that there's basically this deposed of souls just absorbed into the very walls themselves that are just now these silent eyes watching over hell. And that would be a pretty awful existence compared to being able to, walk around and eat and pretty much have an almost normal life. And again, the interesting thing about hell is it's very much a cash-based economy as it's portrayed. And the more power, the more cash you have, the better your life in hell can be. So the overlords, who are among the most powerful demons, the demon princes, who are again among the more powerful, their life in hell is pretty great. Everything's coming up roses. They have everything that they want, and they have servants, and I mean, other than things like they have to cheat on their wife with an imp because they don't actually love her, things are pretty good for them. They're still vulnerable to the purge, but they don't have to, work the streets day to day or struggle in a menial job or scrimp to get by. And that seems to be what's driving some of the characters to try to get higher and higher on the scale. And again, after the purge, there's a lot of basically free real estate. So after the purge, a whole bunch of the ones who are trying to climb the ladder can't just crawl out of the woodwork and they're like, free real estate. It's like when you play an online game and they open up a new server full of land and everybody floods the server to try to grab all the land. That basically is what happens the day after purge in hell. So do we have anything else that people specifically wanted to get into? Yeah, if you don't have money in hell, hell is very bad. It's hell. If you don't have money and power, hell is hell. But if you do have money and power, then hell can actually be a pretty good place for you. So that's kind of an interesting thing that's set up. Another thing that we've actually learned is that there are 7 rings of hell, but that the dead humans can only exist in the uppermost ring, which is the pride ring. So that's been another interesting point of topic. It's why can the dead humans only exist in the Pride Ring? And actually, Hell almost seems to have two different sort of systems of economy. You've got Pentagram, which is center of the dead humans. You've got Imp City, which is the center of the imps. And the imps are natural born to hell. They're born there, they live there, they work ordinary jobs there, they go to theme parks there. Hell is just where the imps live. But the imps are actually considered to be lower on the totem scale than the sinners. And my actual personal thought is that maybe originally hell was like you would think of it, with the little imps torturing all the souls in a burning fire. But at some point, the system has already changed once. And now the imps, who used to be the little torturers, are just the second class compared to the sinners who have taken over most of the Pride Ring. Now, again, I think it'll be really interesting to find out why the sinners can only exist in the Pride Ring. Does that have something specific to do with Lucifer? Again, I think that maybe they were Hell's first residents and the sinners came later. So basically, the dead humans intruded on their space. Yeah. We don't really know the population numbers. We do know that it seems that the succubus are also natural hellborns. Or at least the succubus hellhounds are also natural borns. So there's quite a few species that do exist in hell other than the dead sinners. They, as far as we know, are also susceptible to the purge. The purge is not specific. Yeah, we don't know yet, and that's kind of an interesting idea, is that we haven't quite gotten into with the world building. So Helluva Boss, Hazbin Hotel, Addict are all on YouTube, which is why this panel's on YouTube. The comics are on the Hazbin Hotel website, and there's one about Angel Dust and how he met Princess Charlie, and there's one about Alistair, who is he's one of the Overlords. He's one of the major characters, called the radio demon, because his thing is he makes radio static and such as he goes about. There's not all of them, as I said, are animals. Most of them are animals, but you've got like Vox, who is a flat screen TV. You've got the Lazy Boy demon. So some interesting, a lot of really interesting character designs in terms of they could have just made them all humanoid animals, but they went with just what you turn into is determined by how you lived your life, what your sins were, and how you die. Like when the one character in Helluva Boss dies, Puzzle Demon! When the one character in Helluva Boss dies, he's killed by a falling piano. So when he goes to hell, he has pianos for teeth. Or piano keys for teeth. It would appear that and it's been said that Angel is a spider because his family was mafia and they were involved in a web of crime. Angel's brother and father are also some kind of arachnids, although it's unclear at this point because it's said that they're going to get character redesigns before they actually appear on the show. There's a question about whether Angel's father is a scorpion or a spider. I've seen him listed as scorpion and as a tarantula, so we'll see when he actually appears. Yeah, there's a flat screen TV demon. He's one of the more powerful of the Overlords. And he's kind of in a battle with Alistair. We don't know why yet, but they don't like each other. I suspect it's because Video killed the radio star. But that's just my personal suspicion on that. So hopefully, yeah, this has made some people interested in seeing it. Yep. So there's a lot of really, really unique character designs in it. That's one of the most interesting things about it, is he's got all these beautiful, some people have said over design, but all these beautiful, really unique character designs, really unique style. I do think Helluva Boss takes some of its stylistic inspiration from Invader Zim. You can kind of see that in the way the characters are shaped. So I'm looking forward to getting some backstory on some of these characters, getting a lot more of the lore. I'm looking forward to the future episodes of Helluva Boss that have been teased. Betamax. There should be a Betamax demon. Laserdisc demon. That would be fabulous. Yeah, it has a lot of definitely a lot of inspiration from well, not I won't take a lot of inspiration from Invader Zim, but you can kind of feel the inspiration there. Inspiration from the classic Looney Tunes. The most recent, like I said, episode of Helluva Boss very clearly has a lot of its roots in the old Tex Avery, a lot of the old Looney Tunes cartoons, the classics. So, yeah, we got about 10 minutes left. Are there any other additional questions, additional topics that people want to go over? No, no additional questions, no additional topics, no additional thoughts. Yeah, I didn't end up including any clips again for this because I didn't want to run across the possibility of getting, like a copyright striked or anything like that. So I figured better safe than sorry. Not only a copyright strike, but some of the content is not appropriate for an all ages channel, like Anime Detour's channel. In fact, 90% of the content is not appropriate. I was actually trying to find some clips from the show that other people have pulled out and put on YouTube, because I don't know how to do that. And I kept being like, can't they go without something I can't put on the Detour channel? Yeah, exactly. I was like, they can't go long enough without putting something I can't put on the Detour channel for me to get a clip. Like, there's a really great fan animation. You Google or YouTube search Serpentius pancakes. Beautiful animation. I was like, oh, this fan animation, this will be safe to put in like the Detour chat just to talk about the character. And I'm like, oh wait, even this has swearing in it. So it's not easy to get clips of it. That's why there are no clips. Yep, Vacate to Bone Town. That is a wonderful song. I still like You Will Be Okay more, but it is a wonderful song. Again, I do intend, hopefully, when Detour starts up again for real, to get my Pentheus costume. Yep, that. To get my Pentheus costume finished. I posted some pictures in the cosplay meetup of the state that it's in now. As an animatronic tail, I'm going to have to put flashing lights on it because, if I'm going to be like a 15-foot long snake, I don't want people to walk on my costume. And I got to figure out how I'm going to actually make the hair stand up. So that'll be fun. I'll be like wearing an entire like animatronic puppet on me. But I've done that before. I was a Dalek once, so. Oh yeah, that was the one thing that I kept saying I was going to talk about that I keep forgetting. I was asked by someone, what is the hat too. I keep asking, getting asked, what is the lore behind it? Like, does it come from Dante's Inferno? Well, it's a little bit Dante's Inferno, but it takes from a little bit of everywhere, basically, with demonology. Like, Stolas is a demon from the Ars Goetica, which is part of the Minor Key of Solomon, if I'm remembering correctly. So, and like, obviously, it doesn't use the Dante idea with the further into hell you get, the worse things get. It instead uses the idea of the poorer you are in hell, the worse things get. The less power you have in hell, the worse things get. So that's kind of interesting that it does that instead of there being like stratified rings of punishment. The stratification is socioeconomic status, not literal rings of, well, you did this bad thing, so you got to stay here. And it does seem to be kind of almost capricious as to who gets what powers when they land in hell. There's a beautiful fan comic someone did where Alistair keeps interfering with Angel trying to get a date. And Angel gets really mad at him and says, "Not everyone is dropped into hell with godlike powers, so some of us just have to work with what we've got." And I don't remember what fan comic that was, unfortunately, but I thought that was a beautiful line that really expressed the idea. So it takes its demonology from a little bit of here, a little bit of there, a little bit of everywhere. Again, if you are just coming into this now and you missed the beginning, it is a mature content. So put the kiddos and the baby imps to bed before you watch it, or watch it with headphones on. I I posted a link to the first episode of Helluva Boss on my Facebook without posting an explanation of what it was, because I didn't think about, hey, I should probably warn people that this is mature content. And one of my other fandom friends wrote in the comments section, well, that was ... something. And I was like, oh, right, I probably should have told people what they were getting into before they clicked that link. Yeah, anybody else have any? Yeah. Anybody else have any last questions, theories, word building? You just want to tell me that you want to kiss Alistair, which apparently 90% of the fandom does. He's not, my personal top fanboy. Again, I've established that that would be Pentis. But, you do you. I guess one of the other things I could mention is that there does seem to be some kind of significance of the characters having an X on their bodies. So several of the characters have... I'm petting my cat. Several of the characters have X's on their bodies, and those do seem to be tied to how they died, but we don't have the full details on that. Also, predictions. I mean, I love Penchus. I've said that several times. He's my favorite character. He just tries so hard. But I do expect he's not going to survive the whole show, because that's what happens when I like a character. They end up dying. And I personally suspect he's going to be like, I want to be redeemed, and then he'll die immediately. But we'll see. Since the stream is almost over, I'll bring my cat up. Yeah, I was actually thinking more of the I Am a Leaf on the Wind from Serenity. I fully think he's going to end up in an I Am a Leaf on the Wind scenario. Does something super heroic and then dead. But, I would love to be surprised. I would love to see him get redeemed. I think he's going to die because he's a character that the fans love, that you could kill off without ruining the overall story. Yep, this is my cat, Cosmic Creeper. She's named after the cat from Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Even though she's not a black cat, she's my witch's cat. Hi, Cosmic Creeper, say hi. She wants to be fed. And I've got my Alistair shirt on, even though it's a little bit hard to see. I've got my egg boys in the background. They were originally... my eggs were going to ride on my... They're carrying signs that say "No step on snake," because I was going to put an egg boy on my tail, so that hopefully people would notice it and then again not walk on my costume. Because the tail is fully animatronic, and I would rather people not walk on my animatronics. I also, as I mentioned, the pancakes thing, I need to find a room party that's serving pancakes, and then I need to find a cat girl so I can sing the pancake song. Although I might have to edit it out a little bit, because like I said, I was like, oh, the pancake song, that's perfectly... No, they're swearing in this too. They're swearing everywhere. Yep, so we're winding down on the time now. So last chances to get your favorite characters in. Last chances to add a comment. Last chances to stare at my cat. And, I'm around. I'm on the Detour programming staff. If you ever want to just like talk about, if you watch the show and you're like, I need someone to talk about, I have now watched the show and I want to talk about it. I use the same name on Twitter as I use here. You can tweet me. I do tweet, speaking of my name, I do tweet my Serpentious fan art. So if you are a Serpentious fan and you want to check out my fan art, my Twitter name is the same as the name that's listed on the Anime Detour programming schedule. Yep. Yeah, no shame in liking Alistair. Everybody loves Alistair. Yep, I do. I post links to my fanfic too. I'm a fangirl. As I said, Hazbin Hotel makes my 2000 era yaoi fangirl who's gonna go to the yaoi panel at ASEN in the middle of the night, and it's gonna be nothing but a whole bunch of fans going. Sorry if that was microphone breaking. Um, but yeah, that it goes into my heart there. My glomping yaoi fangirl heart goes straight in there. That's that's why I love it so much. Yep. So thanks for everybody who showed up. And if you showed up hoping to see some voice actors, sorry. Just me and my personal theories. Disclaimer, everything that I said pretty much is what I understand about the show, what I know about the show, and my own theories. So don't take any of it as fact without doing your own research. And I hope I've convinced a whole bunch of you that you want to now go out and watch the show.